Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Thank you very much for joining us for this amazing presentation, and we are very fortunate to have Neom speaking with us today, particularly Mr. Simon Ainsley. He is the Chief Operating Officer at Neom. He oversees Neom's operations, including the IT, procurement, HR, marketing, and communications, and CISO functions. He is responsible for ensuring business strategies, plans, and procedures across those functions delivered in support of Neom's goals and priorities. Prior to joining Neom, he was the Chief Operating Officer of Central and Eastern Europe at Microsoft. While at Microsoft, he oversaw sales, marketing, operations, and governance across the Central Eastern Europe region, and an organization that generated more than $2 billion in revenue. Before taking on the COO role, Simon led sales and marketing of consumer products and services and enterprise devices for Microsoft in 14 countries in Western Europe. He has held roles in operations and marketing at Nokia, T-Mobile, and PepsiCo. At Nokia, Simon held multiple leadership roles and served as the head of the UK board, where he was responsible for global retail marketing, human resources, finance, and logistics. He has more than 20 years of experience in delivering strategic execution and operational excellence and building organizational capability in fast-growing technology companies. Simon holds a Bachelor of Science joint honors degree in biochem and food science from the University of Leeds. Simon, thank you very much for being here with us today, and I will hand it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to all of you. It's an exciting time at Neom, and hopefully I can share some of that excitement with you and share with you what we're doing, how we're progressing, and how you may want to participate we get towards the end. So you've had a little bit of my background. I started in Neom 8 months ago. It's been a fantastic journey in a beautiful part of the world, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Clearly, many of you will have had that experience of being in the kingdom as well. But let me share a little bit more about Neom. Some of you will know a little bit, some of you will know a lot, but hopefully you'll leave a little wiser as a result of this presentation. So our vision with Neom is to create the land of the future, where the greatest minds and the best talent are empowered to embody pioneering ideas and exceed boundaries in a world inspired by imagination. And it really is important to emphasize the imagination here. We are looking to create the future, and the future should not be contained or hemmed in by thoughts and ideas. We need to have free thinkers that really think about way beyond the boundaries of what we currently do. Our purpose at Neom is one we consider to be an accelerator of human progress, the ability to make progress for society and mankind beyond where we are currently. And how do we feel we're going to do that? Well, Neom will become an economic engine for both the region, in the kingdom, and the world. It will really signpost a very powerful approach to environmental conservationism in a living laboratory, which will create, entrepreneurs will create a new future, a home for a very international community of dreamers and doers. And we use the word dreamers and doers quite a lot. We want to think big, but we also want to get on and make things happen. And it'll be a place with real exceptional livability in a very beautiful terrain. What does it mean? People ask me the question, well, so what is Neom? And we've built Neom on 3 fundamental pillars: exceptional livability, thriving business, and reinventing conservation. And I thought it might be useful to sort of step forward to 2030 to try and indicate what we expect Neom to feel like and to look like in the context of those 3 areas. First, from a livability point of view, Neom will be a very safe city. It'll be a one where active lifestyle comes as part of the package. You'll be able to access really beautiful landscapes, and they'll be on your doorstep. There'll be sustainable agriculture that will be locally produced, and there'll be lots of proximity to natural spaces. We talk about getting into nature within 7 minutes walk of any part of Neom. Businesses will thrive there as well, because we'll have unique laws that are unique to Neom that encourage both an vibrant society and a vibrant economy. It will be powered by abundant low-cost renewable energy, 100% renewable energy. We'll be using cutting technology to create a cognitive city that thinks for itself in order to help and support the residents, not just the governance. It'll be home to the greatest minds with some fantastic education. We have a good platform and a learning from what we've done in KAUST, and so therefore we want to make sure we build on that. It'll be a very diverse and inclusive workforce, and it will become a very attractive tourist destination in the longer term too. And from reinventing conservation, we will really reinvent the relationship between people and nature. We want Neom to be one of the very first climate positive societies that gives back to the planet. The cars will be eliminated as a priority form of transport. We will clearly use natural resources wisely, with an unrivaled commitment to protecting and enhance the ecosystems we've got, given the nature of where we're going to be. And we'll have very, very powerful world-leading assessment processes for how we manage the environment and how we look after it. And it's going to be of considerable size. We expect by 2030 to have over 1 million residents, 5 million tourists per annum, creating over 300,000 jobs. And as I mentioned earlier, 100% powered by renewable energy. And that all sounds very bold and very wonderful, but we need to bring that to life. And how are we going to make that happen? Well, there are 7 core pillars that really bring Neom to life, and why we think it will be a success in that way. And I'll take you through each of those in a little more detail. Firstly, it's in a prime location, nestled in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. Those of you who fly Saudia, you'll see it marked out as you fly on the map when you go over it. Importantly, 40% of the globe lives only 4 hours away from this location. In fact, at one of the events we were looking to host in March prior to COVID, we were looking for charter flights out of Heathrow to get there, and it was only going to take 4 hours directly to London from Neom. So it's very accessible. It has a huge amount of trade that flows by the doorstep. 13% of the world trade flows up through the Red Sea. People often ask me, well, yeah, it's just a bit like Dubai or Singapore, isn't it? Well, no, it's actually 35 times bigger than those locations. So a huge area and landmass, with a massive unspoiled coastline, 450 kilometers of coastline, which is unique, and I'll talk about that in a bit more. It has this unique climate potential as well. It tends to be buffered by the sea, so therefore it's cooler during the summer and slightly warmer during the winter. And this unique combination of high solar incidence and available wind speed, and importantly, the wind is available overnight, which gives you 24/7 renewable energy, abundant renewable energy. Neom will be built from the ground up. There is no existing infrastructure there. There's no legacy infrastructure which limits what you can do. Any of you who've been involved in projects which require building new infrastructure and existing conurbations know how difficult it is, and how complex it is to go through the planning and regulations just to put a simple piece of fiber in the ground. Here will be unrestricted. There'll be very fresh solutions to put best practice into place with the learning of the past. And we're orientating for the future. Our chairman was challenging us not to deploy 5G in Neom, but to deploy 6G. It's not quite ready yet, but that gives a sense of how we're trying to kind of look for the future as we go forward. All of that wouldn't work without an ecosystem and an environment that supports the businesses and the citizens that live there. So we spent a lot of time looking around the world for the best legal system that exists. What are the best parts of legal systems around the world that we can bring together that would sit on top of the base economy law? So Neom's law will ensure really fair competition. They will allow businesses to grow and thrive. They'll have state-of-the-art design and allow expedited processes. And we'll eliminate the red tape. So we'll get a much faster way of doing things and allow businesses to be able to operate there in a way that they can't operate in many other parts of the world. And this is not just a one-trick pony. Our economy will be diversified across multiple sectors. Each of these sectors have a very detailed and well thought through strategy which deploys to ensure that we can deliver, for instance, energy, water and food to Neom in a never been seen way before. So that unique solar profile I talked about and wind allows us to generate very low cost energy. When you have very low cost energy, it allows you to generate water from desalination. And of course, if you've got water and energy, then food becomes easier to deliver with those low cost environments. I know KAUST has been very involved in this, but another offset of that is hydrogen can be produced pretty easily from those combinations. And if you can generate hydrogen, there is particularly green hydrogen in this case, you've got a huge opportunity for powering a new form of energy across the world, one that is very environmentally friendly and can help deliver many benefits around the world. Another example would be health and well-being. Our health and wellbeing service, and what we're defining as Dr. Neom, will be a service where we want to commit to making sure people living and working in Neom will effectively live 10 years longer. We will be able to take DNA and sample DNA for those individuals, be able to hold it in a hyperscale data center, analyze that DNA, and then starts predicting potential instances or health issues that may occur in the future based on data and research that we're doing. We want to look at how we solve some of the world's major health issues, and clearly very topical at the moment, through using a combination of cutting edge research and the best minds in the environment to make that happen. So all of these sectors have very detailed areas, and I'll come on, and we're looking for people that can operate in all of these areas as well. In addition to that, and I guess quite uniquely, many of those other things I've mentioned before have been done or been done in a small scale. We're looking to do all of them at scale, but also with this sense of how do we protect the environment and give back to the planet at the same time. And our environmental process is based on 5 key principles. Understanding, so we have knowledge about the environment, protecting it, enhancing it, sustaining it, and inspiring it. An example of that would be the aquifers that sit under Neom have been drained of water over the last hundreds, even thousands of years, to the extent that many of the wadis in Neom have dried up, and the traditional plant, fauna, and flora that was there has disappeared. By extracting water from the sea, by using low-cost energy and desalination to get it through there, and using some innovative technologies like solar dome, which we're patenting, we can stop all that groundwater extraction. And in doing so, the wadis will start to repopulate, the groundwater will start rising, and we'll be able to re-engage with nature in those environments and have some fantastic tourist destinations that is really bringing back nature to the environments where they've been drained in the past. So a really exciting project in that regard. So we have those pillars that are really helping to drive us. Of course, this is also backed by a huge international project, and the fact that the kingdom is backing us. It's funded by Saudi Arabia, but backed by international investors around the world to support this initiative. It's a key part of the Vision 2030 strategy to strengthen and diversify Saudi Arabia from its traditional incomes and from oil. But in doing so, we want to make sure we benefit the world and solve some of the world's biggest problems. There's been a very strong team of people associated with this and built around it. We've recruited all of the executive team now, and all of these members are working hard on delivering the strategies I told you. They've come from a very wide plethora of organizations, some very well-known brands here, and we're a very exciting, dynamic area to make this happen. Very recently, in sort of breaking news, this week we moved and relocated our offices from Riyadh to Neom. We'll now have, by the end of this month, we'll have nearly 500 people operating and working out of Neom directly. And by the end of the year, we expect to have somewhere near 90% of our total staff there, which will be somewhere in the region of 600 people operating and working in Neom. We have over 40 nationalities working in the country as well. So they're a very, very diverse organization. We have about a 50% mix of Saudis in that group as well, 45% to be exact. So it's an exciting project, and I guess I've kind of rushed through that in a whistle-stop space of time, because I want to leave some time for questions, which I'll come on to in a minute. But I think it's important to kind of flag that the relationship that Neom has with KAUST is a very long-standing one. Not least our CEO was very involved in KAUST from the beginning, has a deep understanding and a deep commitment to it. And we have a number of KAUST alumni employed at Neom, over 20 in fact. We have an established research center at KAUST, and there are multiple projects that are already happening. And we have some key individuals, I don't know whether they're actually on the call or not, but people that have participated and been part of this. Andrew Yip, Noah, Baba, and Tiski, they're all part of our program. They're all contributing massively to what we're doing. And we're very proud of being able to bring these people through the kingdom actually, and to continue working with us. And so they're a key part of our teams. So if you want to work in Neom, and I guess part of the call and part of the reason here, what are we looking for? We're looking for roles and skills that will support engineering, technology, and research. All of the sectors we have opportunities in it. The sort of STEM dynamics are very important for us, but we're also looking just for bright, hungry pioneers who will come and participate and want to be part of a very exciting project and make a difference to the world at the same time as committing and driving their career together. We have on the call in the chat, we've got two of my colleagues from our HR team, both participating in this, and I may ask them to come in later as we go through some of the questions. But how can you get involved? Well, we have three ways actually. Firstly, we have a very specific graduate program that we're putting in place exclusively for Saudi graduates, and that will be announcing over the next few weeks. We have a number of internship and research opportunities, and as I said, we've got a few of the KAUST graduates already participating in this, and we're looking forward to anybody else that's interested in how we can accommodate those. And then we're going to be we've got another 150 roles that we will be filling over the next 6 months or so as well. And there are clearly opportunities to submit your CV there. The neom.com is our website address, and the .com careers address here you can see is the way to join and participate from that point of view. And so maybe I'll just pause there actually and move, if you have any questions, anything from myself or the team that are online, I sort of try and leave 15 minutes or so for questions for the group.
So you guys can put those questions in the chat, or we have a large group today, so be careful if you begin asking your question to make sure you're not talking over someone else. And thank you, Simon, for that. That was brilliant.
No problem, Tim.
Hi, thanks Simon for the wonderful presentation. I have a quick question regarding the recruitment process. So once we submitted the CV, so how it goes? Like you're gonna contact us, and then because nowadays everything is closed, so everything will be done through Zoom, right?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. You'll be surprised. We've brought on around 200 people in the last 3 months, all remotely. So it's been a massive shift in our recruitment approach to how we bring people on. We do those interviews remotely, but also as the kingdom starts opening up, if you're in kingdom, there are more opportunities. We're seeing flights opening up, and so in the proper socially distanced way, we can manage some of that. But yes, certainly applications through our portal. And Kieran, I don't know if there's any other advice to people wanting to put applications through that you would suggest to.
No, I certainly just to reconfirm what you mentioned, Simon. Also, just to, I guess, frequently check our careers page as well for opportunities. As Simon mentioned, there are about 150 positions that we still have to fill before the end of the year, and there's certainly a chunk of those which some of you on the call today hopefully will fill. So certainly keep checking as new positions do arise over the next few weeks and months ahead.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, you go ahead, please.
Yes. I'm just checking your careers website right now, and most of the posted jobs are either director or senior managerial level. So should we dare to apply to one of these, or what kind of approach should we do, just to make sure that we're not rolled out of the filtration process?
I can answer that one. Yeah, thanks, Donna. I think it's quite important as well. When obviously as a job seeker and someone who's completing academic studies, so certainly gauge the market, and when reviewing job applications, certainly make sure that your experience that you have, both from an educational perspective and an actual professional experience, meets the job requirements. It's a good point that you raised. I would certainly advise, advise cautiously about applying for, particularly for senior manager and director level positions. As you'll see from the spec, they do require a lot of professional hands-on experience as well as the academic side. But over the next few weeks and months, as I said, that there will be a number of positions. We do have a lot of the positions left to fill in Neom are at more of a professional level, which would be more in line typically with recent graduates. And you will have seen we've hired about 10 KAUST graduates this year already across various different sectors. Each have gone into a professional level role. So where there might not be any positions right now posted there, but again, I would certainly urge Dan and everybody else on the call interested to do just keep checking the careers page over the next few weeks and months, and that will the landscape that you see now will be vastly different.
So if I apply for example, I see now that there is a senior project manager position. If I'm not senior and I apply, will anyone even see my CV and my application, or will I be automatically filtered out of the process?
So we do have you will certainly be notified either way, but it's certainly a good question. No, the CV will certainly be reviewed, and will be reviewed against the job requirements. If you meet the job requirements, well then absolutely one of the a member of the recruitment team will reach out to engage further. However, they will also reach out to inform you if you have been unsuccessful at this time, but still to encourage you to come back and to check the career page for perhaps a more appropriate role.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hi. I have one question regarding the recruitment. So basically, if we see a lot of technical projects are going on, so if I belong to water desalination department or the study, so if I want to have a job in Neom, so most of these companies are outsourcing companies. For example, the Solar Dome, the company who is building this solar project, a solar water desalination project. So I will be the part of Neom, or I will be the part of the employee of that company?
In the case of, so I mean, the jobs we're advertising on our side are for employing with Neom. Of course, if you're being smart, which all of you are, there may be, of course, lots of opportunities with people that we're starting to do work with as well. So as secondary contractors, but we're not recruiting for those third-party contractors. But clearly we're engaging with them because they've got some unique technologies, and we will be engaging with a vast number of other organizations where there's a unique IP or unique capabilities that we want to bring and have in Neom. But the jobs you'll see on our portal and what we've talked about today is working directly for Neom.
Hello. Say I plan to graduate in a year from now. Should I apply now, or should I wait like for half a year before graduation? Could you advise on that? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Oleg. No, I would certainly advise to wait. The positions, as Simon alluded to in the call, we've got aggressive timelines, a huge project. You know that the hiring won't stop in 12 months' time for sure. But the jobs that we've got posted, or any jobs that are available within Neom, do need to be hired pretty much immediately. Most hiring managers want people in there yesterday, as you can imagine. So I would certainly keep an eye on the careers page, but also follow through social media to understand sort of the most recent developments with the project. You know, feel free to connect with myself or any of the team. And obviously we can be a point of contact as well, so you're very welcome to reach out. But I would certainly encourage you closer to the graduation time to have a look to see if we do perhaps have any other career opportunities, graduate opportunities. But also just as a reminder as well, which Simon mentioned, you know, the internship and research opportunities as well that we do have at Neom. So we've been working with the Neom Centre of Excellence graduate affairs, and also through the partnerships office to understand maybe perhaps how we could facilitate internships for KAUST students. So this is something else to keep an eye on that might allow you to get a taste of Neom before you graduate, Ola.
Yes. Thank you. And so, Simon, I have one in the chat box that says, how are you assessing environmental impact of the project in the marine ecosystem around Neom?
Yeah, it's a great point. We have a Dr. Paul Marshall, who's a very specialist environmentalist, and part of our process is how do we put in the right systems and measuring techniques to ensure we know where we're starting. Whilst we talk about Neom being a untouched environment, it is not pristine. I mean, there's been years of sort of damage, and in the Red Sea, clearly there are some impacts of the broader traffic that runs through the Red Sea. So our job is now to ensure we've got the right permit controls in there, and if those people that are up in Neom find now that the permits are required for multiple things that Neom's issues in the Red Sea. And so we are measuring and monitoring that and setting up those standards and making sure we've got more control of what's going on in that environment that didn't exist previously. I mean, it used to be really unmeasured and unmonitored, and those processes are being put in place now. And we're clearly looking to use as much technology as we can to create those monitoring systems and advise us of what's going on. It's a very large land mass, that you can imagine, an even larger sea mass. And so we have those programs are all starting right now through the environment team.
Could you please elaborate more on the energy research and sustainability part? Are there any plans for near future to start doing this at Neom, or it's gonna be only through partners like KAUST and other universities? Are there any facilities being built there, like labs and for experimental research, for example?
I'm not the expert in this space. However, I think our job is really to try and keep at the very front end of development. And so really what we're trying to do is put reasonable scale proof of concepts into place so that we can manage them rather than sort of the initial technical research that's going on. We feel that the expertise of that is well catered for, both in the kingdom and globally. And our job is to how do we bring it to life and how we actually put it to scale. The solar dome is a good example of that. Some work with a university in the UK where we've developed a unique proposition. We're going to put a small pilot in place. I mean, say small, it's pretty significant. And if that works, then that will be deployed out more aggressively. So we'll certainly want to look at opportunities to deploy at a pilot level and to some degree at scale new technologies that we can deploy, and that's the benefit. We've got the space, we've got the people, we've got the capability, and so it really is a good proving ground for new technologies.
Thank you.
Hi.
Simon.
Sorry. I wanted to ask, it's my understanding that you guys have taken on interns already for this year, and I had applied earlier in the year and I haven't heard back. And I was wondering if you guys are still taking on more interns for this year or for the summer.
Kieran, do you want to?
Yes, yeah, I'll pick that up. Yeah, so we are continuing our internship efforts with KAUST. You will hear some further details on this again in the coming weeks. All applications via KAUST to Neom are handled by both us and KAUST themselves. So certainly everybody should and will receive an update on application.
All right, thank you.
Simon, there was a question.
I have a question.
It also says, who can we communicate with for research opportunities and ideas? Is there a particular contact person?
It's not a simple one, that. I guess maybe because it clearly depends on the area of specialism or which particular area you're in. I guess if one of my team here can pick that up, we can then kind of connect that back to the right individuals. So perhaps, I'm just kind of working this on the fly. If you've got a set of people that are interested, maybe you could consolidate it for me and then send it through to us, and then we can direct that appropriately to the right parties. I mean, as I said, we've got like 14 sectors in different areas, and so I can make sure that they go to the right area of specialism.
Simon, there's also a question here that says, could you please elaborate more about the Saudi KAUST graduate program?
Yeah, we're just in the process of building that. Part of what I thought would be great to kick that off here. So that's really setting up something that we're going to be launching very soon. So this is a sneak preview to the KAUST ahead of the other universities in Saudi. So you got a bit of a sneak insight into that. We very much want to bring Saudis into Neom, and particularly from the top universities in Saudi. And so this is an opportunity for those individuals to participate in it. Further details will be shared probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks or so.
Simon, I also have a question here about the community life at Neom. They're asking about, is it going to be similar to KAUST with recreation centers and things related to job stress and so forth?
Yeah, there's a question here, I think, about also could they accommodate families. So, I mean, we have to be, we're very, very frank here. We've set up initially a camp in the middle of the desert to start the support of this. That camp has now become a village as we've built more facilities, and we have facilities to support the community that are up there. But it's not like KAUST yet. But then again, if you go back probably 12 years, I guess, KAUST would have looked very different at that point in time. Our plan for sure is that we will develop the community to accommodate families and have a normal, thriving sort of community that exists there. By 2023, we expect to have permanent accommodation in many locations, including hospitals and schools that will exist. And 2023 may sound a long time away, but it will rapidly approach. So we will have next year some facilities to accommodate families, but as we build forward every year, we'll be adding more capability to the community to ensure that we've got the right vibrant environment for everybody. I think a few questions in the chat just regarding the website and the careers website. So I think that may be, I don't think we've had any issues accessing it, so it may be a VPN stroke.
Yeah, I do think we've had queries in the past, and I do think it is a VPN issue. But perhaps there was a suggestion as well to perhaps just use the 4G rather than the KAUST network, and see if that works. Obviously, any issues, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Nigel. I've noticed that there's quite a number of questions in the chat, and perhaps Timothy, maybe if we could get a list of all those questions. I'm not sure if we've got time to answer each of them now, but certainly if we can get a list of all the questions and the people who've asked, and myself and Najla will respond accordingly to them.
Do you have time for one more question?
As you've asked, how could I refuse?
Thank you. Since Neom, it will be appealing for a lot of people. I mean, it's everyone, especially the young, would like to have a very good future, and with all the facilities and everything, it will be appealing for people from all over the world. So how is the community would be brought up to, I think you mentioned 30 million by 2030, if I'm not mistaken?
So yeah, so I mean, not quite 30 million. We'd have 1 million by 2030, we believe. But it's an international home. We consider it. This is very much a home for dreamers and doers from around the world. And our current staff population is indicative of that. We have 45% Saudi, and the rest are we have 38 other nationalities that make up the rest of the organization. And that should be reflective of what our resident and population would look like over the longer term. It will be a mixed community with a higher percentage of Saudi, but it will be a very global culture and with social norms that would reflect a global environment. I mean, I like to think it's where I want my children's children to grow up. That's the kind of approach we have, and certainly this is the direction that we're taking. And we want to make it a place that people want to be and where they can help solve some of the world's biggest problems. That's our ambition.
Simon, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you and your team being here. We are going to try to capture those questions and continue the conversation with you and your team. We appreciate it so much. Guys, we are out of time today, so we're going to wrap it there. But thank you so much, and we'll look forward to doing this again sometime.
Yeah, thank you, Timothy, and thank you to everybody as well. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you in Neom very soon.